What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens episode review. Today, guys, we are going to be going over episode 29 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens. So, without further ado, guys, let's get straight into this episode review. And yeah, I'm jumping straight into this episode because I'm pretty excited to kind of talk about this episode. So, what did I think of this episode? I thought this was a pretty interesting episode. We got introduced to a new character, one of the new villains of this show, Gallion, which actually ends up dueling in this episode against Ron's, which is one of Gakuto's assistants. So I'm pretty excited to be talking about this episode. So let's get into it. So this episode starts off, they're in their third day, I believe, of the training camp, because remember, they're trying to go and train for a tournament that is supposed to be coming up. And Gakuto wakes up in the morning, he goes outside, stretches, the normal stuff you would do, like when you're at a training camp. I've never been at one. I've been camping before, and I've kind of done that where I'll just go outside, stretch for a little bit, take a little walk, and then go back inside and then eat some breakfast. But Gakuto goes outside and notices that apparently there's a big old ring around them, like a big old whole ring around their camp, and the only thing that is left around them is just the building that they're actually staying at, the little campsite, or like not the campsite, like the building that they're at. The others come out there, they decide to check the hole, which one of my favorite parts of this episode, where Yugioh literally ties Kaizo up and just drops him to the bottom of the hole just to see how deep it was, to see like maybe if they can go like to the bottom and see if they can try to climb their way up, but it's too deep, as they mention, and then Kaizo just gets really mad. He comes up and actually just smack Yugioh in the end of it, and they go back inside. They're trying to think about what they're gonna do, and then something very bad ends up happening. They end up, or Rook does mention to them that there is a problem where they're staying at, as there is no food in the fridge, there's no food in the cabinets, there's no food anywhere. And I'm going to assume that there was no water as well, because throughout the episode, they actually, like, you see them just, like, all, like, tucker out. They're all worn out. They look like they're about to just croak right there, because their skin, they just, like, shrink up, basically. But I don't think you actually get that bad for an entire day. I mean, I've never done that before, so I can't say anything, but they look like they haven't eaten like in a week or drinking anything, which I don't think is actually possible now thinking about it. But I have to assume they had no water either, because of the fact of how their reaction was. I mean, when Roman heard that, she just literally screamed at him, and then he saw him just have basically like a mohawk in a way, and then they were trying to figure out how in the world they were going to get out of the area to get some food. So they decided to send Kaizo to go and get Sebastian, because they have no phone signal. So they send Kaizo. It took Roman to actually do it, because Kaizo was never listened, because Kaizo is Kaizo, and I swear to God, I hate this character so goddamn much. But they were ready to get Kaizo, but Kaizo never ends up coming back. He actually gets in a fight with Sebastian, and that's all we see. We see them yelling at each other, and they say, let's take us outside. We're going to settle this once for all. And then we actually, well, before that, Gakuto mentions that Renosuke and Ron's is actually supposed to be coming down, because he told them that they were going to leave the student council work to them. But with Gakuto being the president, they don't believe that they want to take that responsibility, or they feel like they're not worthy of taking that responsibility. So they're trying to go and find Gakuto, and I swear, these kids are ninjas. I mean, the way these guys run, I feel like they came straight out of Naruto or something like that, because they're just having their arms in the back, they're just running as fast as they can. They end up chatting, they don't even pay attention to where they're running, they just end up in a conversation, which, this was an interesting conversation that they ended up happening, as she kind of talks about how, like, Yuga, all he does is just wants to break the rules and do all this crazy stuff. And then Renosuke mentions, like, do you like Yuga? Because of the way it is. And he even says, like, so you've been watching Yuga, and she gets all blush up about it. She talks a little bit more at how she, like, watches him eat certain food, watches him sleep, like, it's kind of creepy, if I'm going to be completely honest. But she ends up talking all about that, and then they end up stopping it because they were hearing sounds. They go over and they see that there is this little construction work that is going on right now, and this is actually when we run into the new character. Man, I already Gallion. Jeez, I don't know why in the world I just forgot his name there for a second, but we do see Gallion for the first time in this episode as he says like we need to get this place prepared for the Great One, which kind of confuses them. Then Renosuke talks about something, and then Rod ends up not even realizing what he was meaning, as he thought he was talking about her and Yuga. It's kind of shocks her to the point where she blushes so bad that like her cheeks basically just turn pure red. Like, you know, when someone like blushes, they normally have like the pink. No, it was pure red. Like she was like embarrassed, and then she ends up falling. And I'm telling you, that had to be a deep fall that they ended up taking, and she didn't get hurt at all. I mean, these kids they are flexible. That's all I have to say. And Gallion ends up finding them because she falls really literally right in front of them, and Gallion basically says, you know, he starts asking them if they knew anything, like if they heard anything about what they were doing, who they were talking about. Like they asked all these questions. They basically lie and say no, we didn't hear anything, and they just said that we were gonna go see our friends at the training camp. They're in the training camp for this tournament, and Gallion says, okay, then you may pass if you can beat me in a duel. And basically, what ends up this duel being is that if Ron's wins the duel, because apparently she's going to be the only one that duels, which kind of sucks that we didn't get to see Renosuke duel. Literally the only thing that this kid does in this episode is hold her cards like what they would do for Gakuto. And in fact, he even draws the cards as well. The only thing she does is like sets the cards, and then he draws the cards. He like would return the cards to the deck. He does basically everything else. So maybe it's just because of their style, which another fun fact. Now, I don't know if this is something that Japan does. I'm going to take this actually literally, but this might be just their kind of way of saying like bro in a way, because, you know, people say bro. Sometimes they either are talking about a brother, or this can also be for a friend. Renosuke was calling Ron's his sister. So I don't know if this is actually mean that Ron's and Renosuke are relatives? Like, are they brother and sister, or is this just a saying? I'm going to assume that that's brother and sister, because I looked back in the episode 29 cast list because I wanted to kind of confirm their last names, but these two characters do not apparently have last names. We only know their names is Ron's and Renosuke, which kind of does suck, but... Or that more sucks because we don't know that, but I'm just going to assume that maybe I'm just an idiot for saying that, but I think I'm almost like 99% sure that they're brother and sister, which is pretty cool, honestly, to have another pair of relatives in the show. You know, I was kind of disappointed that Roman and Roa were not brother sister, which, speaking of Roa, I know this is off topic because Roa was not in this episode. Where is this man, to be completely honest? I know Roa has not appeared since episode 26. Like, 27 I understand. 28 and 29 is a little bit more like, okay, what is going on? Because he has basically just disappeared from the show. He has not appeared once, and especially since this is a Rush Duel tournament, and you would think that, oh, this is for a Rush Duel tournament. This would prove yourself so that you can become the king. You would think, oh, Roa would participate in this. No, he is not participating in this. Well, we don't know that yet, because this is more for the training of it, but it's kind of surprising that this character still has not said anything about this, or doesn't know anything about this, which is really, really weird, and I'm really getting concerned for Roa, to be completely honest, but I got off topic there. I just wanted to mention that. I didn't mention that in episode 28, which I kind of did want to bring up, but it's kind of weird that, like, Roa has almost been written out of the show. Like, I know it's only been 2 episodes since we've seen him, but he hasn't dueled since episode 18. I just want to see this man duel again, okay? I really like his Royal Demons monsters. I think they look really cool, but getting back on topic, if Ron's wins, she can actually go past and actually go. If they lose, they have to become a part of their duel club, which Well, actually, they said they had to become a part of their duel club for the rest of their lives. And at first they said no, but then he mentioned something about Yuga. Ron's kind of gets a little bit mad, and she decides to accept the conditions and ends up dueling this Gallion character. And then we get into the duel. The duel I thought was a good one. It's another short one, which I can't expect every one of those to be long. I mean, the last duel that I really had liked was the Yuga and Neo duel, which was 7 turns. The last couple of, the last duel we had was the Sushiko, which was a shocking result. I will say though, I like the Sushi and Rowan one surprisingly a little bit more, but it was cool to see Gallion and Ron's using their own monster this time. We got to see both of their ace monsters this duel, but let's talk about the duel. The first turn of Ron's, she just sets 3 monsters and sets 2 cards. That's all she does, which is similar to what Gakuto did in the first time he dueled, and I think even the second time they duel, which is kind of funny because all of the times that he's dueled with them around, he was setting cards. So they kind of follow a same style that Gakuto was doing in the first 2 duels, and maybe that's the reason why they lost, because remember, Gakuto lost both of those duels, and if you're watching this review, you probably have watched the episode. Ron's loses his duel, which I said that Galliant was gonna win for the story, so it kind of made sense. But Galliant takes his turn. He summons 2 monsters. He goes into his ace monster, Drilling Mandrill, which, to be honest, I think this monster's design is okay. I'm not the biggest fan of it. It looks cool, I guess. It's just basically a big old drill monster, but I don't know, this one just didn't appeal to me as much. I definitely liked Ron's way more than this card, and basically its effect is that it can flip up face up monster, or it can flip up face down defense position monsters up to the number of monsters that you control, which he summons 2 bull, it's like bull bashers or something like that. Bashers, bleh. It's something like that. They're bull monsters. They're bull machine monsters. So he has 3 monsters on the field. He's able to flip up all 3 of her face down monsters. And basically what that ends up happening as well is that all of their attack points become 0 until the end of that turn. So he uses his 2 bull monsters attack. I think they were like wolves. They look like the wolves to me. I don't know the names of them, obviously, but they look like wolves, and then they attacked this like ninja looking girl and was able to get Ron's life points to 1600. Was the last attack, or was the last life point stat that she had. She goes into her turn now. Well, actually, first she activates a trap to save herself because the 2 monsters on the left and right side, the wolf monsters, got destroyed. She uses Drill Man to attack, but she uses a trap card to switch all of the monsters to defense position. She goes into her turn. She summons another monster. She summons 2 more monsters onto her field, and is now able to summon her ace monster, Flower Fang Kanochi Interanzer. I could be completely wrong. I probably just absolutely botchered that name, which is completely fine. But I will say though, I love the design of this monster. I feel like this is what the representation of like a Yame ruler girl would honestly look like. I think that's what this monster would look like in my opinion. And honestly, I really do love the design of this monster. Honestly, like out of all the girl cards that we've seen, like Roman's aces, Sushiko's aces, this one is probably my favorite out of the 3, like, of the main aces, and I'm saying, like, Brima Katara, and then her Sushi Angel Gabrielle, Sushiko's ace monster. I definitely like this one out of those 3 ones. But she's able to use this effect. She gets to summon another copy from her graveyard. She activates a spell card to where the 2, Flower Fang monsters can actually deal damage to Galliant because of the fact that their monsters are in defense position. So she uses the ninja monster that she's on the field. She attacks one of the bulls, then uses the other 2 copies to attack. Then, due to her effects, the copy of that monster, and I believe the other, well, maybe the other one was destroyed by the battle. Well, no, if it was a defense and attack, it would have stayed on the field. I think both of the cards were sent to the bottom of the deck. I think with their effect, that copy monster and the any other monsters on the field were sent to the bottom of your deck. So she only had the original Flower Fanged monster onto the field when she ends her turn, with Gallion only having, I believe it was 2,200 attack points left. And then we go into Gallion's turn. He's able to bring back his Drilling Drill Man onto the field, activates a spell card to switch her monster back into defense position, uses Drill Man's effect, flips it back into attack position, reaches it down to 0. This shocks them, and Gallion goes into the win, which I'm not surprised again. I thought Gallion was going to win due to the story, and in this duel actually as well, I didn't mention it, but he kind of talks about them being this elite school, and he actually talks about the motivations of them, which I think we already assumed from episode 26 when Asan said we will utterly and destroy, we will utterly and crush rush duels. I think it was destroy, crush, or something like that. But basically their whole thing, or their whole reason for doing this, is that they don't want to change the game of Yu-Gi-Oh at all. They want to keep it the same as it used to be, and they want to get rid of this like counterfeit, this like new, they don't, this basically are just trying to get rid of the new style. They just want to crush rush duels and keep everything the way it was, because they believe that that was the superior version. This was the better one, which I guess is superior because of how complex it was. I mean, it's the bigger format one. This is like the more simplified one, and I guess they think that this one is garbage. They want to get rid of it. So that is their entire motives. And not surprised in it, and he says he does this for basically Asan. We do see that, and Ron's kind of gets the hint from when they were mentioning the Great One, which the Great One is referring to Asan. And now, because of them losing, they now have to work for them forever. Runazuski and Ron's hold hands together as they know, like, they lost. They now have to take this punishment. We go back to Yuga and Co. They're just like starving in the they're starving in their cabin. Then Gallion actually comes up and builds a bridge for them to kind of be able to get out of there and just actually be able to get some food and some water, because it's like, you know, we're glad we're able to come here when we can. It's good for us to help fellow duelists, as, you know, he's trying to act like this good guy. And then something interesting happens. Gakuto asks him, hey, did you see two people that were somewhere in the forest? It was one guy and one boy and one girl. And he's like, one boy and one girl? Huh, I never seen one before. I didn't see anyone. And then he goes this big old smirk on his face, which I am telling you this right now. 100%, I feel, or I shouldn't say 100%, but I'm 99.9% sure that this duel is going to happen. Gakuto versus Gallion. This is a duel that has to happen in the series. There's no way you can tell me that Gallion is not going to duel Gakuto. And this could be an opportunity for Gakuto to get a very big win for himself. Like, his last big win was against Otis. In fact, that was his only win. So to get a win against one of the main antagonists of the show, or at least one of the antagonists of the show, I think would really boost his character up a lot in terms of his dueling. So, and plus, this kind of gives him a story as well, because he's trying to help his friends who were basically abducted in this episode. So this is going to give Gakuto some really good story that I'm really excited for. And then we get back to Kaizo and Sebastian at the end of this episode. They actually did duke it out. I mean, they were bruised everywhere, which I bet this is actually going to be censored, which, funny enough, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrain's dub has not been that censored that much. If you guys don't know, I actually do Vrain's dub reviews, and I've been surprised that they haven't really done that much censoring, which, I'm telling you this right now, when the Sevens dub is getting ready to be produced, 4K is going to just have a ball with this. They are going to have so much fun working on Sevens, I feel like. This show is just going to have some of the most corniest jokes in it. This is a corny show that 4Kids is just going to love. I can't wait to see what they do in this, because honestly, I feel like there's going to be no difference. But getting back on topic, they end up selling their difference. They actually just stare at the sunset. The old guy comes out of nowhere. It just pats him on the back. They laugh. And then Kaizo realizes, oh shoot, I was supposed to go and help the crew. I was supposed to get Sebastian to help them. He looks behind him and he sees Yuya, Roman, Rook, and Gakuto all behind him. Now, I think this might be just an imagination of them, but if this is actually them, Kaizo is in for a rude awakening. Which he kind of deserves it, I'm going to be completely honest, but maybe that's just because I don't care for the character that much. But guys, that is going to be it for this episode review. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys' thoughts on this episode down below. And let me know, guys. Oh, I just thought of something. Well, first off, let me know in the comment section below. Do you think Gakuto and Gallion are going to duel sometime in this arc? Do you think they're going to duel? Also, this is something I just thought about. Let me know if you think there is going to be a tag duel. I know there has been no tag duels in the series so far, but think about this. I want to end up with something crazy, and I just thought about this. Let me know if you would like to see, or do you think a duel with Yuga and Gakuto versus Rons and Renazuke? Now, I know that might just be like, where in the world did you get that? Think about this. Because of what this result was, and now that they're forced to be a part of their duel club, this could potentially set up a thing where they're forced to duel Gakuto and Yuga for basically the other team. And I feel like there can be some really good growth there. And now you might be asking, why do I bring Yuga in there? It's because of the whole Ron thing and her falling in love with it, Yuga, basically. So I feel like that might add something to it. I have no idea. I think that's just the only other partner I could think of. Maybe Rowan, but I feel like Yuga and Gakuto make more sense. But this would get some big growth for Gakuto that I think would really be helpful for his character. But that's just me, so let me know what you guys' thoughts on that suggestion. But that's going to be it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, guys, take care and have yourselves a great rest of your day.